City and Color live on the Edge. Dallas Green taking over the 8th floor of the Chorus Key building. That's Golden State from the new album. What was the song that inspired that song? You mentioned other artists.
Yeah, I think that I guess I just heard one too many songs about about how great California is, which is it's good, but I think I don't know, I just felt the need to write a song about the opposite. And I mean, it's not. I hope that people understand. It's, obviously it's ironic. I mean, I'm singing a song about asking why everyone's still singing about California while constantly singing about California. So, I guess it's just sort of a lot of people in my position and would move there. A lot of people ask me that too. So you based in LA now? No.
It's funny. You mentioned the idea of humor in your songs, and you're certainly no stranger to that. Your career is littered with lyrics that have this dark, twisted sarcasm to them. Where does that come from?
Being Canadian?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I've always enjoyed exploring that side of myself when I write. I've never. I don't think maybe I just haven't reached a point in my songwriting or in my life where I want to sing about happy things, because when I'm happy I just don't necessarily feel the need to write, and I guess I've never approached songwriting, even though it is my job. I've never approached it like a job. Like, I don't write songs every day. I don't try to write a song every day. I just sort of, I'm always playing guitar and always singing, but lyrically I just sort of wait for something that makes me feel like I need to write about it.
Do you fret over lyrics?
Oh, it's the worst.
Is it?
Yeah, if I write like a line a month, it's huge. It's a big deal. It's a real big deal. I mean, some of the songs on this new record I've been writing for years.
What's an example?
Harder Than Stone is a good one and it's also a good example of sort of like the conflicted ideas that were going on in my head when I was trying to do both bands at the exact same time. I originally started writing Harder Than Stone about 4 years ago, when it was right in the midst of when Alexis was starting to write for Old Crows and Young Cardinals. And when I come up with lyrics finally, I'll usually have a whole bunch of melodies and chord progressions together, and what I'll do is start singing the words in a lot of different songs to see where it fits best, and then B, also to try and construct melodies in a better fashion. So I had written some of the lyrics for Harder Than Stone, and then a few days later we were practicing with Alexis, and we came up with Born and Raised, which I immediately started singing this grouping of lyrics I had written, and it sounded great. And then George wrote such beautiful lyrics that accompanied those ones, and that song became Born and Raised. But then when I would go back and try and finish Harder Than Stone, every time I tried to change the lyrics or find a new direction for the song, I couldn't get that grouping of lyrics out of my head. So last summer I just said, I'm just going to rip myself off. And so I kept the original lyrics, which are the lyrics, if you listen to the song, they're from Born and Raised, but I was able to take it into a new direction and write about something else.
So you'll be plaintiff and defendant in that lawsuit.
Exactly, yeah.
It's
But I mean, if anyone's going to, if anyone's going to do it, it should be me.
Mm-hmm. So your albums really are picking up the pieces. You write songs in pieces and bits, and you gather them.
Yeah, absolutely. Two Coins is another good example. I that's my favorite song on the record. But I wrote the melody and the music and the chorus for that years ago. But I couldn't find where to go with the verses, and I didn't want to. I don't like to force it, I read this thing with Brian Eno last night where he talks about how he doesn't believe in letting things come to you. He needs to get himself going in order to be creative. Whereas I'm completely adverse to that. Whenever I try to force a song, it never works out. Or I'll wake up the next morning and read what I wrote and go, that's awful. So I really just let it. I just wait around for the right mood to hit.
City and Color taking over the Edge airwaves, the new album, The Hurry and the Harm, June 4th. Part of the takeover is listening to new music from the record. We're going to go into Thirst. Any notes on that one?
Well, I actually started that song started as I wrote it for somebody else. The first time I've ever been approached to sort of like, hey, do you want to try and write a song for this person? There's an artist, a girl named Kimbra from Australia, who she sings on that song
Go
biggest
Jay.
song of all time, that Go Jay song.
Right.
And I don't necessarily think that I know that she didn't know about it because I asked her when I met her, but major labels, I think, tend to just sort of like, they look for something else, even if the artist is creative enough to make their own records. So I got this strange email of wondering if I'd had any ideas, which I didn't. And I'd never tried to write before for anyone, so I said, no, I can't. And then an hour later, I had written that song and sent it off and said, well, try this. And we never heard anything back. So part of me was like, oh, maybe it wasn't that good. But as I kept listening to it, I really enjoyed it. And then it became this whole nother animal in the studio and proved to me that I don't have to be so emotionally connected to a song in order to write a song that I enjoy, which has actually worked out in my favor, I think.
We'll hear it now. Thirst, City and Color on the Edge.
So, while this happens,
Yeah.
to make it less awkward, does anybody have any questions? No.
Oh, here we are.
Oh, right away. Good.
Are you allergic to any flowers?
I don't think we need to do that. I think we can. Okay. I don't believe so. Should I be?
Can we give you these flowers we got you?
Oh yeah, that was. You know what? Very kind of you to ask the allergic question.
Like first and like,
Yeah, I'll take some flowers. You coming over? You're coming over. You want to come over? You okay? Aw, that's really nice of you.
I don't know what kind they are, but
What's your name?
my friend Holly got them too.
Oh, hi, Holly. It's very kind of you. Look, I don't know if you can see them. They're very pretty.
Hey, all right.
Oh, give them a round of applause. Well, I dare anybody to top that. No. Oh, hi, you in the front.
What tattoo is the most special to you?
Well, most special is that I have a tattoo on my neck that was. So when I wanted to get my neck tattooed, I told my father, and he was like, "Don't get your neck tattooed." And I was like, "I'm gonna get my neck tattooed." And he was like, "Come on, like." First thing people, when they shake your hand, they're not gonna look at your hands, which were tattooed. He was like, "They're gonna stare at you and see a tattoo on your neck." And I was like, "Dad, I got a couple of tattoos by this point, I was like covered." But he was like, "Don't get your neck tattooed." And my parents never really said anything bad about that, but that was the one thing my father he didn't want me to do. So what I did is my grandfather, my dad's father, who died when I was really young, he was in World War II, and he was in a submarine for the Canadian Navy, and his submarine division sank the German sub that got closest to North American waters when they tried to break through the barrier that the North American patrol had, and he got a medal and everything, and my father still has the newspaper article of him and his division and the medal that he received. So we called him Poppy John. So I got a tattoo of an anchor with HMS Calgary, which was the name of my grandfather's submarine, on my neck, and I showed it to my dad, and he was like, "Oh, the one thing you knew I wasn't going to get angry about." So that's most special to me.
City and Color, Thirst, 102.1 The Edge. It's the Greg B. Harrell Show, and Dallas Green is here. City and Color taking over the Edge airwaves, listening to new music from City and Color, and playing a few songs. Your music goes to such dark emotional spaces sometimes. That's no secret. But it can't be healthy for you to revisit those areas over and over again.
Yeah, I think it can.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think, the way I like to look at it is that when I write, it's a cathartic process, and it's helping me get through something in my own life. But when I write, I try to keep in mind the idea of writing it in a relatable enough way that someone else can listen to it and not have to know exactly what I wrote it about, but can take what they need from it and get themselves through whatever maybe they are going through. And I think that's the best part about music, is that you don't need to know what the writer wrote it about. It's just however it makes you feel. So, did anyone notice how I forgot to move the stool away and I kind of had a Captain Morgan thing going on for that whole song? Yeah. I thought when I started, I was like, "Oh, I can do this," and I was like, "Well, that probably doesn't look good. So I might as well just go with this." Do you know that one time I played a festival in Ireland called Oxygen Music Festival, and there was like a Captain Morgan. It was like sponsored by them or something, and there was a guy dressed up as Captain Morgan, and me and my friend Daniel, who used to play guitar with me in my band, we were walking to watch a band play, and he like stopped us. He was very tall, very like dressed up like a pirate, and he was like, "Guys, you look great. Where are you going?" And he was American too. We were in Ireland, and we were like, "Oh, we're going to watch this band play." And he was like, "What are your names?" And Dallas, and he was like, "Captain Morgan." Introduced himself as Captain Morgan. Never broke character. It was great.
It's the Greg Beharrell Show, 102.1 The Edge. City and Color taking over the airwaves. The new album, The Hurry and the Harm, coming out June 4th. Dallas Green joins us in studio. There he is.
Hi.
There's a drama here. There's always a drama in your music. There's always it's very theatrical. It's very big. It unfolds like a play. Instruments are often given human characteristics. They sound, they're personified. Are you conscious of that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I want it to sound like real people playing the instruments. You know?
The buzz in Thursday. I mean, there's a groan to it. It does sound like something come to life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very conscious, especially in this day and age, you know, where everyone is so concerned with technology and like, you know, what's the newest, quickest way we can make something happen. And I think that to a degree, making records have really taken a back seat to just the amount that you can get out in the quickest fashion possible. So, you know, even though when I'm killing myself trying to make sure that every note on the record is something that I personally sang, even though I know that I could just fix it afterwards or copy it and paste it and move it over. And I know most people probably won't be able to tell the difference, especially nowadays. I'm conscious of that because I like that. I like when you can hear the room or the hum of a microphone or, you know, a drumstick touch. You know, maybe not necessarily hit the snare exactly the same way every way, or you can hear a string buzz on the guitar. Like, sounds like real people, which we all are. Oh,
It's common knowledge you've struggled with sleep in the past. You write a lot of songs at night. Is it still the case?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was working on one last night actually.
What is it about the evening?
I don't know. I think I'm just a cranky morning person. I don't get a lot done. I'm pretty upset in the morning. No, I've just always I've just never been a good sleeper, and I don't know if I think the romantic in me or the drama queen in me likes to think that in the quiet hours when no one else is awake, that's when I work and that's when I can focus when nothing else is happening, because most of the rest of the day it's, you know, everything's going on. So.
Part of City and Color taking over the Edge airwaves is listening to new music from the new album, and we're going to hear The Lonely Life. Do you want to comment on it?
It's my jam. Yeah. That's one, I don't know, I really love the way that song turned out. When I wrote it, I thought this could be a good song, you know, which it's hard for me to get to that point, but as soon as I wrote the chorus of this song, I rarely like imagine what people would do when they listen to it, but that was, I wrote this chorus and I thought to myself, I can hear people singing along to this song.
It's poetic. Here is his jam. Very good.
Questions?
Yeah, go for it, guys.
Not music related.
Okay.
Am I right to assume that you're a big baseball fan?
Correct. I'm named after a baseball
I
player
was going to ask that if you were named
and coach. Yeah, that's who I'm named after, Dallas Green. He's I was born in 1980 on September 29th, and the Philadelphia Phillies won the World Series that year, a couple weeks. I think it was, I don't actually know the date they won it, but later on that year. And my mother wanted to name me Graham Todd. Hyphen. Like Graham Todd. You know, like, so my name would be Graham Todd. Or like some people would probably call me GT, hey GT, or something like that. It would be awful. No offense to anyone named Graham or Todd, but like, who's ever heard of a Graham hyphen Todd? You know, I don't know what my mom was thinking, but my dad was like, no thanks. But he had also, my father bet money on the Phillies to win the World Series that year, which they did, and their coach's name was Dallas Green, so I already had the last name Green, so we'll throw Dallas. Coincidentally, his favorite show was Dallas. Had nothing to do with my name, though. But yeah, I love baseball. Aside from the fact that that's hi. Not right now. I mean, I'm open to it, you know. My thing is like I don't really have like a dream list of collaborations because I would be afraid to meet somebody who I didn't like. You know what I mean? Like you always hear that, like you don't want to meet your idols because they might turn out to be you might get them on a cranky day or something. So the Shad thing just sort of happened organically. We met each other. We shared a bus on Warped Tour a couple of years ago, and we became really good pals, and we shared a love of certain types of music and certain singers and songwriters and hip hop and things like that. And he actually asked me to sing on his record, but the timing didn't work out. So once that sort of fell through, I had written that little idea, that melody, and I thought, why not? Let's try and do something special on it. It worked out. It's pretty cool. But many rappers out there, I'll give it a shot. I'll give like I say, when that came out, I always wanted to be the Mary J. Blige to somebody's Method Man. So, well, he's the best. Hi.
Hi. My personal favorite song is Grand Optimist by you.
Okay.
What's running through your head when you're performing that song, or like any song in general?
Well, that song especially, I think about my parents because that's what it's about. It's about growing up and sort of, and as you get older, I think most people can sort of, when you get older, you start to see how you take after your parents in certain ways, whether it's good or bad. And I had always told my father I was going to write a song about him called The Grand Optimist. And I was kind of joking because he's always been very supportive of me, but in a very positive way in anything I've done. And my mother, not that she's not supportive of me, but I noticed that I take after my mother a lot more when it comes to, sort of glass half empty, which has led me to write most of the songs I've written, But the support from my father has allowed me to be confident in myself at times when I wasn't. So that's what I honestly, when I sing that song, I just think about those two. It's okay?
Yeah.
Do the job?
Also, a lot of my friends have met you just like around the neighborhood, and I'm so jealous of them.
Do they think I'm a jerk?
No, my friend met you like last week, and he like texted me, and I'm like, he's my favorite artist.
Well,
I've never met him.
I'm a real person.
No, and like it's just like around the neighborhood. And
Yeah. I always wonder when I go to Blue Jays games or something, and people are like, "Do you have a show in Toronto?" And I'm like, "No, I live here. Just watching my baseball team play." Am I doing a song, or are you talking to me now?
Song? Harder Than Stone? City and Color, The Lonely Life, 102.1 The Edge. Dallas Green's here. We're on the 8th floor of the Chorus Key building. A whole bunch of listeners. You make some noise. Yeah. It's all in celebration. The Hurry and the Harm, June 4th. We're actually talking off mic about your celebrity, your fame. And with fame comes a certain understanding of people think you're a certain way. Yeah. How wrong are people's impressions of you?
Oh, I got a wonderful story. I'm so glad you asked me that. I was at a Blue Jays game the other day, and sometimes people will notice that I'm there, and I'll end up taking some pictures and stuff, and that was happening. It was okay. I don't mind doing that. But then I was sitting in the aisle, and this guy walks up the stairs, and he hits me really hard on the arm, and he goes, said something like, "Hey, buddy," or whatever. And I was like, "Why don't you hit me harder next time?" And then he came back, and he was like, "You want me to hit you harder?" And I was like, "No, I was basically saying, why don't you just say hello to me instead of smacking me on the arm?" And he was like, "Oh, I didn't know you were so special." And I was like, No, you're making it about that. All I'm asking you is to not hit me. And then he literally said, "I've heard that about you." And I was like, I said the F word to him. And I was like, well, what can I do about that? Nothing. What has he heard about me? That I don't like to be hit in the arm really hard when I'm trying to watch my baseball team win? Who's tweeting that,
You can't win.
But then an old guy came over to me, like a true old Jays fan. He got the binoculars and everything, and he said, "Me and my wife have been watching you, and we're really impressed in how you're handling this situation." And I thought, well, there we go. That's good. But yeah, so if you see me, don't hit me. Just say hello.
So you have to give up something almost when you're in the limelight like this.
Yeah, you know what? What's the weirdest part I think that I've had to deal with now is with technology is that nobody says hello to me anymore. They just ask for a picture, which is fine. But it's, can I have a picture is the new hello, because everyone has a camera on them at all times. So they're like, "Can I have a picture?" And I say, "Yeah, but can you say hello first?" Just introduce yourself. That would be fine, and then we'll take a photo, and you know.
You know, whenever we've talked before, you've been very, very humble about your voice, about your vocal abilities. How do you feel now? Do you feel like a good singer?
I feel like I've gotten better at singing. When I think back to when I first started, or when I listened to earlier records, and I think, you know, I can tell that I had a good grasp of it, but I've always tried to be better, and I always tried to be better. You know, I think as a singer, especially somebody who's asking people to, you know, be interested in what they're doing, I want to be better every time I sing. So every time I sing, I want to sing better than the last time I did. And so yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's okay. Sometimes I get really bummed out, but
City and Color.
I'm doing all right.
I think you're doing all right too. City and Color taking over the Edge airwaves, and Dallas is going to perform another new song for us. This is called Harder Than Stone. Do you want to comment on it before you jump in?
Well, we kind of talked about it earlier. This is the song that it was like an example of sort of having that I don't know where to put what idea-wise, and finally just sort of said I'm going to finish it and save. So anybody who knows Alexis on Fire, you might hear some words that you've already heard before.
City and Color on the Edge.